Hi, today we're going to go to Thailand again, to another beautiful island. It's not like Ko Lanta, it's much easier to get to. Stay tuned and see. Okay, today I'm taking you to Thailand again. This time to another island, but it's much more accessible than Ko Lanta, so it might be more interesting and easy for you to get to. It's the island of Ko Lanta. Ko Lanta is just off the coast of Thailand, and it's just south of Phuket and Krabi. It's actually very close to Krabi, and that's where you would fly in if you were going to fly there. We actually drove from Penang, which was a mistake. When I look back on it, it was not the best idea. Although it was nice having a car while we were there that we didn't have to rent, it was still quite an arduous journey. On the map, it said it was only going to take 7 hours, which is still a long drive. But because of the problems at the border, it took us 10 hours. I just realized that I've forgotten to introduce myself. I'm Taylor. Welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you've been here before. I'm an American expat living in Malaysia, and I like to share my life and travels with you. Now back to the story. First of all, we had a little bit of a late start, and then when we got to the border, it was unbelievably confusing. Now, this was a couple of years ago, so maybe they've changed and made it more efficient, but I kind of doubt it. But if anybody knows if it's simpler now, please leave a comment below and let me know. I don't want to dwell on it, but it did take us 3 hours at the border. There was like 3 different lines to get into. There were no signs to speak of. There was no one that was helpful. So it just was kind of a drag. And we got a late start, so it was just not a great experience. Once we got back on the road, it was just fine. The roads are good, just like in Malaysia. In some cases, even better, I thought. And the views while we were driving were spectacular. We went through some incredible mountain areas. You used to have to take a ferry to get to Ko Lanta, but there's a bridge now, so it's a little bit easier. Unfortunately, we arrived there about 10 o'clock at night. By the time we found our hotel that we had booked, there was just no sign of anybody there. We got out thinking, well, maybe they've left us a note or a phone number or something, but no, they hadn't. So we didn't know what to do. So we got back in the car and started driving around looking for another place to stay for that night. What else could we do? We found a lovely little spot that had 1 room available, but only for the 1 night. But we thought, well, that's fine. We'll just go back to the original hotel in the morning. We ended up loving that place. It was just delightful, and the people were so kind. We were starving to death. You know, here it was probably 10:30 going on 11 at this point. And they made some delicious Thai food to deliver to our cabin. We were so appreciative. Thailand really is the land of smiles. We loved the room, but as I said, it was only available for that 1 night. This was Christmas time. We had a lovely breakfast at their restaurant in the morning, and then went back to our original hotel to see what had happened. Well, they just were like, where were you? We're like, well, we didn't get here till 10. They said, well, we close at 7. Well, I'm pretty sure there was no information to that effect in any of the correspondence I had with the hotel. I didn't want to argue though, and they showed us to our room, which was unexpectedly disappointing. We just didn't like it. And we were already kind of irritated because they had given us such a hard time for not being there before 7 p.m. I mean, that's not usual in any hotel I've ever stayed at. So we told them we were not going to stay and we were going to check out. They tried to make us pay for all 4 nights that we had reserved, but I talked them into just paying for the night that we didn't stay there at all, which was bad enough in my opinion. So we went back to the place where we had stayed the night before. They let us use their Wi-Fi and sit in the lobby while we were trying to find another place. We found a place very close by called Moonlight Bay. We had driven by it the night before and I was impressed with the lobby. It just is gorgeous and shines from the street. So we thought we'd just drive over there and check it out. I was so glad we did. They not only had a room for us for the next 4 nights, but the price was amazing. I guess they were giving us a good deal because they didn't think anyone else was going to come along right before Christmas without a reservation. So we ended up booking it for 5 nights. Since we had the car, we didn't have to go back any specific time. We didn't have a flight to catch or anything. The room was gorgeous, as you'll see here. They had a new addition to the hotel. The old part are more like cabins tucked away on the hillside overlooking the ocean. The new section we stayed in did not have an ocean view, but it had a little lake view or a tributary or something that came in from the ocean. It was a lovely jungle view anyway, and it had a stunning pool of its own. Once we got settled, we took the little path that went out to the beach area and marveled at how beautiful it was. The beach was small and rocky, but completely private. You couldn't even see another resort. It had an additional pool there by the beach, and a restaurant, and a little thatched bar that was perfect for cocktails before dinner. We had our first lunch there right away, and it was delicious. I had the best tom yum soup I have ever had in my life. It's a coconut soup with chicken in it and galangal. Oh, it's hard to describe, but it's a wonderful combination between sweet and sour. It's one of my favorites. We got settled in and really enjoyed staying there. The first couple days we just relaxed by the beach and the pool. The water was incredibly clear and beautiful and warm. Then we thought we'd do something different, and we booked a snorkeling trip that was going to 3 different places. It was a small group, maybe 8 people on the boat. It took about an hour on the boat to get to the first stop, which was not a beach, and it was kind of challenging. We had to wear life vests just to be safe, but it was super cool. We got into the wonderful water, and it was right next to this incredible cliff. And it was like, where are we going here? So we followed the guide, and we swam along, and then we entered a cave of all things. We swam through the cave, and you get to a point in the middle where it's completely black. Kind of scary, but as soon as you turn the corner, you can see the light at the other end. And when you get there, you realize you're in the center of an island. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. A little beach area and tropical plants and everything, and you look up and walls of rock all around you. It was magical. Once we left there, we stopped at another place that didn't have a beach for another snorkel. That was okay. And then we went to the last place, and it was absolutely the most beautiful beach I've ever seen in my life. Just powder white sand. The water was clearer than any I have ever seen. We did some snorkeling there and had a wonderful lunch that was catered by the tour. I didn't want to ever leave. We did notice that one of the hotels from Ko Lanta had a little private beach area, and I don't know, maybe a restaurant and something, not rooms, but just some place where you could spend the day and relax. I bet that would be lovely. It was a pretty long day, but unbelievably fun and beautiful, as I'm sure you can tell from the photographs. One day we went to the old part of Ko Lanta, which was sort of like a charming fishing village. I didn't get many pictures there, but I have this one. I think you can tell the charm from that. They also had a more modern town area with lots of shopping, souvenirs and things like that. We went there a couple times. It was nice. One day we were walking through the shops and we came upon an incredible art gallery, and all the paintings were by the same artist. This wonderful Thai woman and her husband, they worked together. I think she did all the art, but he helped run the business. We fell in love with this one painting, and with a little haggling, which I'm embarrassed to say we did. I thought what she was asking was fair, but I don't know, I think you're just supposed to haggle. So we got it for $150 US. It's a huge painting of a beautiful sea turtle that you can see here. I love it. It barely fit in the back of our car for the drive back, but it did fit, so that was great. We also had a nice lunch at this cliffside restaurant that had a beautiful view too. We also had a lot of meals and evening meals at the restaurant. As I said, the cooking was fabulous. We had Christmas dinner there, and they even had a Thai Santa Claus. The last night we found a restaurant very close by and we just adored it. It was very rustic and simple, but the food was amazing. We were sorry we didn't find it till the last night. I hope it's still there next time I go back, because I will be back. Of course, Ko Lanta is way more developed than Ko Lipi. There's cars, for one thing. But it's much bigger, so you sort of need a car to get around. There's also more to do, too. Now, I've been to Phuket a couple times before, which is nearby, as I said, and it's different. It's much more developed. The hotels are much larger and resort-like. Ko Lanta tends to have smaller resorts with maybe 50 rooms or less, which is kind of nice. I much preferred it to Phuket, I can tell you that. Now, I can't compare it to Krabi because I've never been there and I would like to go someday, but it's probably similar, and like I said earlier, it's very close by. But despite the rough start, we had a fabulous time. It was a gorgeous place, and I really highly recommend anyone that wants to go to Thailand, check out Ko Lanta. Fortunately, the drive home went much smoother than the drive there, and it was so much easier to get through the border going into Malaysia for some reason, go figure. And we got back easily within the 7 hours. So, I highly recommend Ko Lanta, but I don't really recommend driving there. There's so many beautiful places in Thailand that I haven't discovered yet, and I can't wait. Of course, there's lots of beautiful places here in Malaysia, too. I can't wait to check out the Perhentians. Maybe I'll get there soon and take you along with me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know the trip was a couple of years ago, but I'm trying to fulfill the travel part of my channel until I can get out there and travel some more. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Now, I've noticed a lot more people watch my channel than subscribe, so it really helps if you do subscribe. Thanks. Well, that's all I have for today. I have many more videos coming soon. Talk to you later. Bye.